Good morning, students. Today we are going to solve question 9 from GATE CSE 2022. The question states that the corners and midpoints of the sides of a triangle are named using the distinct letters, right? So P, Q, R, S, T, U. So these 6 letters are basically used to display the corners and the midpoints of a triangle, right? So if there is a triangle, right? So that triangle is going to have 3 corners and it is going to have 3 midpoints, right? Total 6 points, and those 6 points are basically represented like over here, but now not necessarily in the same order. So this order does not gives the exact way in which those corners and midpoints are named, but they do represent that. Okay, consider the following statements. The line joining P and R is parallel to the line joining Q and S. Okay, they are basically giving us the constraints that are imposed upon these points, right? P is placed on the side opposite to the corner T. Okay, and S and U cannot be placed on the same side. Okay, so these restrictions have been given to us. Then what? Which one of the following statements is correct based on the above information, right? So given this information, which one of the following statements are correct, right? So normally when this kind of question are faced now, so students are basically see, as humans we are able to comprehend patterns and possibilities, right? And even if you do not start solving this question, you would be able to understand that there could be a lot of triangles, a lot of possibilities in which these 6 points can be distributed along here, right? There could be a lot of possibilities, right? So how checking every single possibility is not really possible, and I agree with that. It is not really possible. Even outside of the GATE examination, you would not be going around checking for every single possibility. Why? Because you're not doing PhD on this, right? So how can you solve this? So as I said, humans can only comprehend patterns and possibilities, right? So they have given us the constraint. Rather than creating a triangle and then checking the possibilities, take these constraints and then from those constraints try to put together a triangle. That way the number of you will be only checking the possibilities that are absolutely required, right? Those that are absolutely required. That is not just here but in general, right? If you construct things from the fundamental principles, the total number of possibilities are enormously reduced, so much so that even impossible things have been in the past and even in the present in modern research, impossible and absolutely big amount of information can be distilled out in that manner. And this is something that we as humans can do, right? If you don't really believe that, then you would be not really thinking that this all these geniuses, all these big software engineers and all these are supercomputers, and if then they look at this question, they would be basically checking all the possibilities and then answering the question. You don't believe that, right? They are doing it in some manner, right? And this is that manner. They're constructing it from the fundamental principles or the constraints over here as is present here, and then from that getting to the answer. Okay, so let's do that. Right? So what are the fundamental constraints that are provided to us? The fundamental constraints are that the lines PR and is parallel to the line QS. Okay, so PR is parallel to QS, right? P is a point on the side opposite to the corner T, right? So that means that T is one of the corners, right? T is one of the corners and P is on the side that is opposite to this corner. That is, P is going to be present where it could be present over here, or over here, right? Because these are the 3 points which are on the side opposite to the corner T, right? That part you understand. Then the last is S and U cannot be placed on the same side, right? S and U, they are not telling us that S and U are corners or they midpoints. We do not know that, but they cannot be on the same side. That is one thing that is present, right? So S and U cannot be on the same side. These 3 constraints are present, right? So which one of the following statements is correct based on the above information? Let's try to do that in imagination, right? And obviously in your imagination, I mean, you take a paper and pen and then try to do it by that, but obviously I cannot make you do that, and I do expect that you must do that first and then look at the solution. I will do that with the help of computer graphics, because computer graphics basically it is a very good tool for teaching, right? So that is how I am going to use them, right? So with these constraints present, let me show that to you, right? So this is QS, line QS, and this is PR, line PR, right? PR and QS, PR and QS. Now let me show you. So these are parallel, right? That first part, first constraint I have ticked. Second one is P is on the side opposite to that of corner T, right? So suppose that this is the corner T, right? So I can place this corner T where, right? I can place this over here, right, like this, and then P is on the side that is opposite to this corner T, yes, and P and R are the two other sides. That is a possibility, yes. Or I could do it this way, that I take this PR, bring that to the top, take this QS, bring that take this QS and bring that to the bottom, right? And from that, if I were to take it like this, so if this is the triangle that I am forming, in that case P is not on the side opposite to T, right? P is not on the side opposite to T, so this kind of arrangement cannot happen. So the and Q and R, in the previous case P and R were taking these sides, right? Over here Q and S are taking the other side, right? So this kind of arrangement is not possible. Then P and R must come over here like this, right? But it is also possible that P is not on a corner. P can be in the middle and U can be on the leftmost corner, right? That is also a possibility. Likewise, this is also a possibility that R is placed over here and U is placed over here. These are possibilities that are possible, right? Okay. So, and SN, and mind you, if you now we have to, the second constraint has been done, that P must be placed on the side that is opposite to the corner T. That has been placed. Very good. Now the constraint regarding U cannot be placed on the same side as S, right? So U cannot be on the same side when U is present over here, right? When U is present over here, in that situation, this is the triangle that is being formed, right? And S is over here, U is over here, so they are on the same side, right? That is something that is undesirable to us, right? This is something which is undesirable to us. So U cannot come here. So where can you come? You can go in the middle, right over here, right? Or you can go over here with R coming in the middle. Possible? And this P and R can change their arrangement like this. Possible? Very easily possible, right? So these are the total number of this is the whole triangle that we are comprehending with these constraints, right? Obviously sometimes you would be tempted that why can we I'm not considering the rotation of all this, right? The rotation of all this need not be considered because I am considering them from the basic pattern. If I were to even rotate the whole thing, then also the basic constraints would be exactly the same, so the only results would also have to be the same, right? Rotating them would not really inflict any kind of change actually, right? Even if I were to rotate them like this, that does not really change anything, right? This is still parallel, right? R is still on the side opposite to T and U is not on the same side as S, right? Very easily. So rotation, you did not even need to consider all those rotations and possibilities when H is over here and all that. You don't need to do that because you constructed it from the basic constraints that were presented to you, right? With that being presented, now let's check the options. P cannot be placed at a corner. Okay, so P cannot be placed at a corner is the claim that they are making. But we just now can very easily imagine P being placed over here, right? All the constraints are being met. This line is parallel to this line. P is on the side opposite to T, and your U is not on the same side as S. All constraints are met, and P is at a corner, right? So A is not true. P cannot be placed on the corner is a wrong statement, right? I hope that you are able to understand this, right? And we are solving this question comprehensively. There is no better method, right? We are solving the question, all the information given to us comprehensively, right? Now the second one is S cannot be placed at a corner. S cannot be placed at a corner, right? So right now S is over here, right? Now S cannot go over here, right? Because P and R are over here, right? If I were to place S at a corner like over here, right, then T would have to become some other corner, so that will be equivalent to rotation. We do not need to do that, right? Okay, so now what? we can take it like this, that I place S at a corner, but if S were to go over here, then Q would also come over here like this, right? And P and R would have to go up here. Okay, P and R would go up here, right? And now P is not on the side that is opposite to T, right? So one of the constraints are not being met if I were to place S at a corner, right? So that is why S cannot be placed at a corner. This is a fundamental understanding which we got from the basic constraints, right? So the claim is that S cannot be placed at a corner, and the claim is actually very true, right? The claim is actually very true. So I will look at the other claims also, because this is a 1 mark question. This is a 2 mark question, but it is a MCQ type question, that only one of the following, right? Only one of the following is a correct statement, right? So U cannot be placed at a midpoint. Okay, so U cannot be placed at a midpoint is a possibility which is directly being contradicted by this arrangement, right? Because U can be placed at a midpoint and it is placed over here, and this particular arrangement meets all the constraints that have been provided, right? I will again say P is at the opposite side to T, Q and S are parallel, and U is not on the same side as S, right? So this is a valid possibility for the constraints, and this claim that you cannot be placed at a midpoint is simply wrong. D is R cannot be placed at a corner. Okay, R cannot be placed at a corner, right? This arrangement basically falsifies that claim, that sentence that is provided by the fourth option, because in this arrangement R is placed at a corner and it is very easily possible, right? So this is also false. Very good. So we have solved this whole question, right? And honestly speaking, this was a really good question, a bit difficult question, I would have to say, right? But the whole point of me explaining all of this with computer graphics is to develop your analytical power, because this is something you can do in your imagination, and even with copy and pen you would not be able to move these like this, right? But with copy and pen, copy and pen is supposed to facilitate your imagination, right? You must imagine these things like this. This is the ideal which I am providing to you. You must use copy and pen in this direction so that it helps you, right? Otherwise, these constraints and these possibilities you will never do. Even given 2-3 hours, you will not be able to solve this question if you were not constructing the triangles from the fundamental constraints, right? And with that, I do hope that you learned something, or some of your understanding. If you were able to solve this question by yourself, your understanding has been validated. And with that, have a very good day. Thank you.